Hello, everyone. I'm Chuang. Let's draw the skull of Stegosaurus. The Stegosaurus skull was quite slender, so we should note the overall shape when drawing. It was a long and narrow rectangle. During the drawing, we can see the difference between its upper and lower jaws. Its mandible was very thick. The upper part of its entire skull was sometimes narrower than the lower jaw. We should pay attention to the proportions. Although its skull seemed like a rectangle, the part behind its eyes, the temporal fenestra, was prominently taller and was like a large triangle. Pay attention to the shape of this part. Its eyes, together with the rear part, formed a shape like a trapezoid or triangle. When drawing the mandible of Stegosaurus, note that it had a beak structure at the front end, while the corresponding part in the upper jaw was not very pronounced. Now, let's get started. Compose the picture first. The left represents the tip of its nose, and the right is the back of its head. Draw the overall shape of its skull like this. Its overall skull was almost shaped like a rectangle or an inverted trapezoid, narrow in front and broad in the rear. Draw the eye socket resembling an inverted pear, which is located at the rear 1/3. After outlining the orbit shape, draw the palpebral bone diagonally behind the eye. The palpebral bone is an ossification not connected to the skull, but attached to the skull surface. In front of the palpebral bone should be its lacrimal bone. Through the palpebral bone and lacrimal bone, we can see its frontal bone. Below the palpebral bone, what's next to it is its postorbital, a bone behind the eye socket. The front is its jugal bone. Following this structure upward, let's draw the shape of the squamosal bone that formed the back of its head. The bone connected below to the squamosal bone is the quadratojugal, and behind it is the quadrate with an articulation. Next, draw the structure that formed its nose. It had very long nasal bones. The premaxilla is at the front, which formed the upper beak. The next large bone is its maxilla. Draw the tiny teeth on the maxilla. Next, we move to its lower jaw. The foremost of the lower jaw is the beak. Draw the lower teeth backward correspondingly. The upper teeth of dinosaurs usually grew on the maxilla and premaxilla, but in the later Stegosaurus, the premaxillary teeth had degenerated. The lower teeth only grew on this dentary bone, and would not go further backward. There are 3 bones on each mandible, the dentary in front and the suprangular and angular bones in the rear. Draw a concave here to show the unique feature of Genosaurs, indicating that its teeth were depressed inward. From the front, these 2 bones are sunken. Next, let's blacken the hollow parts, or the openings on the face, such as the orbit, the temporal fenestra, and the nostril. Then, we can use thicker lines to draw the parts with soft tissues. The beaked part should be longer than the bones. Show the thickness of its skin on the top of its head. Then, we come to its throat. The ventral side of the throat should be drawn larger, as this part had numerous gular skirts made up of osteoderms. When applying the black color, we don't have to make it too solid. We can color some key parts, such as the margin close to the outline. For other parts, we can just place relaxed brushstrokes to make the picture look more breathable. Finally, draw a bony plate. Good. In this way, we've finished drawing the skull of Stegosaurus.